because the one that I brought only has one.
I guess we're getting started.
It's 10:30.
Yeah, it is 10:30. All right. All right. Everybody, welcome to the mental health panel. This will be an uplifting foray into...
Oh, my God.
Oh, Dr. B.
God, it's good to laugh in the morning, isn't it? How's everybody doing? Yeah? Yeah. Who was here yesterday? All right, how was it? Sweet. Who's it first day today? You looking forward to it? Awesome. Good. We're gonna try and be as energetic as possible because God, it's early.
I didn't.
Who was out partying last night? Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. Well, welcome to It's Dangerous to Go Alone, Mental Health in Streaming. I am Dr. B, the clinical director of an amazing nonprofit called Take This. Anybody heard of us? Hot diggity, sweet. So that's like 80% of you I get to teach about us. Spectacular. So we'll talk about that, but let's get into all of these lovely people who are up on the panel. Let's meet them.
Yay.
Yay! Well, we just start here and just kind of go down the line.
Hi, good morning. Ooh, can you all hear me? Okay. My name is Tanya, also known as Cyphertier online. I'm a partner variety broadcaster. I'm also on Twitch's D&D channel on Rivals of Waterdeep, which airs Sunday. I GM on a Roll20 app, and I'm a Take This ambassador.
Hi, I'm Denisse Morales. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I go by Super Saiyan Doctor. I'm pretty much everywhere.
Hi, I'm a Twitch streamer. I go by the name Miss Kylie, or you can just call me Kylie. Also, I'm a Take This ambassador as well.
Hey guys, my name's Dayan Hutton, and I stream under Dabraham_Lincoln, and I'm also a voice actor on Life is Strange and a Take This ambassador.
Hi, my name is Kate Stark. On Twitch, I'm just known as Kate. I'm a full-time variety broadcaster, and I haven't had enough coffee.
All right, and as I mentioned, I'm Dr. B, the clinical director of Take This, and I am a full-time professional geek. I am also an occasional Twitch streamer with a group of geeky shrinks who use therapeutic D&D. We stream under the name Clinical Role.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, yes. If you want to see us be non-professional. But let's talk about what Take This is and why we're all here. So basically, our mission at Take This, which we started almost 6 years ago now, is we want to make it okay to not be okay. Roughly 1 in 2, I'm getting ahead of myself because I know that's a statistic I have later, but 1 in 2 people in America are going to be diagnosed with a mental health condition in their lifetime, and yet we're not talking about it enough. All right? Raise your hand if you know somebody who suffers from a mental health challenge. I see a few people who, with their hands down, raise them anyway because, yes, you do. The problem is the stigma is there, and they don't want to talk about it for whatever reasons. And that's Take This's mission. So we work with conventions, we work with organizations, we work with you to educate and to inform and to bring this kind of awareness. And you can, follow us on all the socials. I hope you do. And if you care to support us, there are a number of ways you can do it. Patreon is always appreciated. We work with Wormwood Gaming to produce our Hope Shields. It's a blind box. I may have one with me I might give away at some point for whatever criteria I deem. But we also run charity streams. Anybody is welcome to run a charity stream for us. And as some of these folks mentioned, we have an ambassador program whereby if you find one of our streaming ambassadors, you're going to know what to expect on their stream. And you're going to know what to not expect, and that is you're going to go in there, it's going to be a welcoming, stigma-free zone when it comes to mental health. And I think we're going to be opening up applications again in the spring for next year's streaming ambassadors, but basically we have the best of the best, people who go above and beyond in terms of promoting mental health awareness and inclusion. But let's get to the meat of things. Here's some facts. Everybody, there will be a test, by the way. I will point out random people and ask them this later. No, definitely take notes. Definitely take notes. But 1 in 5 people in America in a given year will be diagnosed with a mental health challenge, and that's just not an emotional challenge because we all have those. This is something that raises to the level of a diagnosable problem. Anxiety disorders are by far the most common because there's so bloody many of them. So many. I work with a lot of them. But one of the things people don't necessarily know is that overall 94% of people who have a mental health diagnosis remain pretty functional. It's only 6% who are completely disabled by their challenges. And that's an important thing to remember because just because you have a mental health challenge doesn't mean it's a death sentence. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You can be successful. I have autism. I think I've done okay. So that's really what we're here to, that's part of what we're here to talk about, but we're also here to talk about how to incorporate this in terms of streaming. And that's where all these lovely folks come into because they have all dealt with the typical challenges of streaming and have a lot of great advice on how to guard against that and basically learn from what they've done. So what kind of challenges do you all encounter in streaming when it comes to self-care and or mental health?
How much time you got?
I knew you'd say it, Kate.
Oh, okay. Well,
You started. You just volunteered yourself.
rhetorical question. I mean, in my everyday life, which is basically my streaming life and my everyday life overlap a lot, it's like anxiety, that's a pretty common one. Depression, that's a pretty common one. What's the other one? Oh, ADHD, that's a fun one. And then I also have a chronic widespread pain condition where I'm in near excruciating pain every day, all day. Can't really stop that. But with that comes additional anxiety and depression and brain fogginess, which is just the best. And so as I'm streaming, sometimes I have to cut my streams short because I'm in excruciating pain. I can't keep going. Actually, one of my mods is here. Where are you? There you are. So he knows. But like sometimes I'll have to cut my streams short. Sometimes I have to be really honest with people because if I cover it up, if I say like, oh yeah, guys, I'm totally doing fine, but I'm taking breaks to go cry because I can't sit any longer, I can't deal with it any longer, that's really not authentic. And that's not fun for people to watch. So as far as me and streaming and stuff goes, I just need to be so open and honest. And a lot of times people think it's a level of oversharing. And they're like, your audience doesn't need to know that. But they do, because I'm a real human. And sometimes I need to take days off. And if I take a day off and I'm like, hey, does anybody know the spoon theory? Cool, great. I'll give
We call it the spell slot theory.
There you go. I'm going to give like a really quick like one sentence spoon theory. It's basically every day you are given a certain number of spoons. And for every task you do that day, like getting dressed, that might cost a spoon. Going outside and interacting with humans, that might cost like 2 spoons. So you need to allocate your spoons so at the end of the day you're either left at 0 or maybe you have a couple left or maybe you're in a negative amount of spoons. I need to be so honest about the amount of spoons I have that if I'm like, hey, I don't have the spoons to stream tonight, people realize why and don't think I'm slacking, or they know it's authentic and they know that you take time, you recharge, you go get your spoons back and come back when you're ready because we don't want to push you. So I'm very lucky in the sense that my community understands that and they can talk to me about that when they need spoons back and forth.
For me, it's a lot of anxiety around just kind of performance because I'm actually very much an introvert, despite the fact that I basically make my living being on panels and showing my face everywhere. So a lot of times so the introverts in the room who totally understand I'm on this panel or I stream for 3 hours and I need to go not talk to anyone for like several hours, please raise your hand. Yay, my people. But there's that anxiety, and a lot of times I don't have a cam on just because of anxiety about looks or harassment I've gotten, and I'm going to be that person that brings this up. There's also the component of, will today be the day where it's racist o'clock from the moment go? Because that has happened to me where it's like, what is in the water? Is there a school break? What's happening? Like from go, is this going to be the day where I get, slurs and monkey emotes and banana emotes and people trying to do ashy swastikas in the chat because clearly they have nothing better to do than to find a random stream. So there's that anxiety, but it's also, am I doing enough? Because when I want to take a day off or if I'm just not feeling it, because some days it's just like, maybe I just feel like chatting with the community. And I say this a lot, it's like I worry about my community getting tired of me because I've been doing more like kind of like just check in, chat with people. And it's like, what do you get out of watching me talk about these things? And even though people are like, no, I enjoy this, it helps me start my day or whatever it is, I still have that anxiety of, am I oversaturating people with my presence? Which sounds really weird to say as a streamer, but it's a legitimate concern of, if I stream every day, y'all are gonna get tired of me and leave, right?
What about the rest of you? What do you encounter, maybe both personally within your streams, within your communities, in terms of mental health?
Well, I feel like I'm probably the newest and like doing it the least longest than everyone up here. So I haven't dealt with too much yet, but I do try and create I'm creating a positive environment, and I do get a lot of comments of like, just the way that environment is just so beneficial to other people, because they'll be like, I was having a really bad day, but everyone in here is so welcoming, like, thank you so much. And it's not even necessarily needing to directly talk to them about it. It's just by everyone being positive, it helps lift them up as well. And I've also, being honest with people and trying to help, break the stigmas that we talk about. And, I'm honest about, hey, guys, I have anxiety, too. It's cool. It's okay.
It's not the best. It's not super cool.
Well, but it's it's cool that, this is, cool if you have it. Yeah. That
Mazel tov?
You don't need to hide it and be ashamed of it, kind of how I meant that. But I'll be honest, oh, hey, guys, I am coming late from my counselor because it's okay to see a counselor. And, it's okay. Guys, I went on, I let them know when I, started anxiety medication. I was like, let's not make this a secret thing. It's a thing people are on, and that's fine if you need it. And so I just try and take that road of honesty as well.
For me, I guess the stuff that I deal with is similar to what she was saying earlier, just stress of just you're not really talking in front of people, so it's a little bit different, but going to events, that's kind of stressful too. And then just always having that always on mentality of if I'm not streaming, somebody I'm being replaced, or I'm not, gonna keep my subscribers or my followers, or I'm not even gonna get paid. That's I feel like financial for streamers is also something that not just me, but a lot of people think about, because we are our own businesses. Some of us have a degree, some of us don't. Some of us might have a degree in maybe something that's totally unrelated to business, and this is full business stuff. You're your own PR, HR, marketing, all that kind of stuff, all put in one, and it's overwhelming. At least for me, I get really, really overwhelmed when I have to think of okay, I want to do something fun for my stream, and what am I gonna do for that? I'm gonna set an event. How long is that event gonna take? It's just all the little things that you think of is just something that I get really stressed out about. And there are days where I'm just having a really bad day, and I'm I need a stream today because I haven't been able to stream in a couple of days, because I'm also going to school full time too. So I'm I literally just took 2 days off because I had a test or something that I need to study for, and I'm not feeling good today. I'm not gonna take another day off. So that, and I mean, even I like to say I'm a very positive person. So I try to push past that as best as I can, because my stream is so incredible, and even if I am having a bad day, having that chat there makes me feel just so good, because they're all so sweet, and it takes a while to get that and stuff. So
it sounds like so much pressure. Oh my goodness. I think it's different for me because I don't do this all the time. I only just started as well. I think I've done it maybe 4 times, probably 3 different games, mainly Stardew Valley. But yeah, so it's not a lot of, but man, I can't imagine having that pressure to please other people, and then just kind of the urge or the need to be out there and to put yourself out there, and maybe I need to do this more. And even for someone like me who has just begun, I constantly think maybe I should set aside 30 minutes at least tonight after work, after a full work day, to stream a little bit, just so I can build it up. And wow, I can't imagine what what it feels like for somebody who does this full time. My goodness.
Just be tired. Just be tired all the time.
Well, what about the notion you have to be streaming all the time to be successful? You're flying in the face of that. What I hear everybody talking about is authenticity versus eternal servitude to the server. That seemed poetic, but it sounded better in my head. Don't worry. Erase that. That didn't happen.
Well, a lot of people think that you have to grind, you have to hustle, you have to stream like every day for hours a day in order to get affiliate or partner. It's not true. I have streamed part-time my entire time streaming, and I did it on a lark. I never expected to get partnered or anything else. But the idea is, if I don't stream every day, if I'm not always on and always accessible, I'll never get there. I'll never get partnered. That is a lie. Do not tell yourself that, because at the end of the day, the people that form your community will be there, no matter how much you stream, how little you stream, if you need to take time off for yourself, for travel, what have you. So that's what I think is like the biggest kind of lie about the hustle of streaming. And a lot of people just literally don't understand how much work it is to stream. A lot of people go out and they buy thousands of dollars of equipment, they buy like DSLR and all this other stuff, and then they stream, and that the people do not come to you because you've now spent all this money. They're like, well, I hate it, the streaming sucks. And it's like, they don't do the rest of the work to build a community, to let people know they're streaming. They just think, I have all this fancy equipment, I look like I'm in a studio, people show up. No, they won't, because you can have great equipment and be so boring, incredibly boring. Or, maybe you just aren't engaging. Maybe there's something about what you're doing doesn't pull people in. So you don't have to, stream every day, all day, and you don't have to spend the earth. I literally started with my PS4 and a headset. So.
Yeah, I feel like speaking to that is like you forget that you're in charge, and like you're creating your community like by leading and setting the example. So if you're creating and fostering a community that's understanding and caring, then they're gonna understand when you have to take a break or when you go on vacation and can't stream for a while, and they'll miss you, but they're not gonna pressure you. And so it's important to remember that you're in charge of that. Like you're creating your family, so set the example that you kind of want and how you want them to treat you.
I got partnered by streaming 3 or 4 days a week for 2 hours a day. So like all these people who are like, you have to get up, you have to stream 16 hours a day, and you can't take any breaks, and you have to do it 7 days a week. That's not true. The truth is, when you go away, you will lose subscribers. People might get cranky that you're away. I've been gone since Sunday, and I've streamed once since then. I lost like 100 subs in the first 2 days. Like, that sucks. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, I was in Disneyland for 3 days. I'm not gonna go and take my time away from my actual first holiday in like 3.5 years to go stream. I'm gonna spend time with my friends and my family, and I'm gonna do that. And like, thank you. I say first holiday. I was vlogging and I was posting on Instagram, but that's like, that's different. That's fun for me.
Okay.
But yeah, like, but the downside to that too is like, you were mentioning you're an introvert. I'm so introverted, and I have spent 4 days around tens of thousands of people, and all I want to do is go home right now and sleep and not talk to anyone for like a month. But sometimes you have to push past that. And when you do, it can be really, really rewarding, but it sucks when it's happening.
Okay.
But it's really great afterwards.
Okay, what about the other part of it too, is that like if you're on holiday or something, people expect you to like stream every minute of your life. Oh. And it's like, y'all don't need to see me have breakfast. It's not, it's boring. It's boring, and I'm always people like, I have food, no one talk to me. But the idea that you're always on, or you should always be on and available as well.
I mean, yeah. So it actually has gotten to the point where a lot of my community is like, what if you don't vlog though? Like, what if you just take some time and do nothing? Like, we want to see what you're doing. We want to see all the excitement you're having, but like, also please just take time for yourself. And that's where another part where you're saying like, be authentic and true with your community and your struggles, and what you're putting out, you're going to receive back. So I'm being truthful and authentic with them, and they're going to do the same thing. It's like a friendship. They're like, you don't want to see your friend overworked and tired and all that kind of stuff. If you have a caring and thoughtful community, they should want you to take time off. And if you don't, if they expect you to be streaming 24/7, they're not a really thoughtful and caring community.
It's not somebody you want to have to just be around all the time, because it really, if you are streaming a lot, like, you do see them often. And it's something that, taking what you guys are saying, like, you know, at the very beginning when I first started streaming, I thought, like, I saw all these other broadcasters and they were doing it, so I was like, okay, I guess this is what I need to do too, at the very beginning. And then, like, over time I was like, man, I'm just getting burnt out, like, this isn't good. So I was, like, starting to take measures and be like, hey, you know, I'm going to do that. And then over time, my community has been, like, so welcoming and nice, and haven't made me feel stressed out if I have to take a break. Like, in fact, like, when I say I have to take a break, everybody is just so, like, on Twitter or something, they're, like, so kind and nice. They're like, yeah, take a day off, we'll see you tomorrow and stuff like that. You definitely want to culture that. But let's just... How to culture
yeah,
it?
seriously. Like, people have said this kind of following will come up, this kind of following will happen, you will get the people who resonate with you, but how do you do it?
I think you need to just lead by example. You just need to tell people, like, what you're okay with and what is normal and, like, what is fine. Like just going back to this, a different topic, maybe, like, saying, like, you know, I talked to a counselor, and letting them know that, like, hey, I talked to a counselor, like, it's fine. Like, oh, she must be, like, or she's taking one, or she's talking about it, so maybe I can too. Or again, just going back to the taking time off, like, hey guys, like, I'm not feeling my best today. You know, maybe, like, she's taking days off, maybe I can too, and just, as I said, leading by example. People follow what you say, and what you do and what you allow, and I feel that's one way to culture a positive community.
And it can be, like, really small things. Like, I did a tweet that I didn't think much of it. It was like, oh, I had such a good day. I went for lunch with a friend. I played with my cat. I had a meeting with my therapist. I took myself shopping. And that was just, like, that was a fun day that I had. And then somebody messaged me, and they're like, because you said that you, like, so casually saw a therapist, which it's true, it's just something I do. They were like, I made the first step to go see a therapist because you just said it so openly.
That's awesome. And I am a therapist, and I have seen a therapist as well, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. And you do what you need to do that. If you need to take time off or set boundaries or tell people, I really just, I don't want to interact that much, so please don't take offense to it, or whatever you need to say for yourself.
So actually, Dr. Morales, this brings up an interesting question. What is therapy actually like for anybody who might be hesitant to get into therapy?
It's awesome.
Well, is it a dude who looks like me sitting around with a bad Austrian accent talking about your mother?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And also, I mean, there's so many different types of therapists too. You can search for somebody based on what you're struggling with, based on specialty, or you just talk to different people. When I looked for my own therapist when I was doing my graduate program, I made some phone calls, and whoever sounded like I could, I know it kind of sounds maybe a little bit weird, but the voice, and I kind of went by that, and if it made me feel comfortable, that's who I set an appointment with. And I told myself, okay, after that first face-to-face interaction, if I don't feel comfortable talking to that person, or if I don't feel like I can work with them, then there's nothing wrong with trying the next person. And I say that to all of my clients as well. If you feel at any point this isn't working out for whatever reason, I'm not going to take offense to that. I can refer you somewhere else.
It's almost like online dating. No, seriously, you find some profiles you like, you call them, who do you click with? Hey, I want to meet up.
It was a good fit for
Ooh,
you.
this isn't working out.
Because you're working together.
It's not, no, it's definitely you.
Wow.
No, oh.
Wow.
Why is he single?
I see it as a very collaborative relationship, though, that it has to be, well, we call it an alliance. You're working relationship, so you have to work well together.
I remember when I was specifically looking for my therapist, I'm queer, so I was like, I want somebody who is cool with queer people and the person I ended up finding was like listed LGBTQ, but then specified like trans inclusionary. And I was like, okay, this is somebody that I can vibe with. Like, obviously they're open-minded, they deal with like family matters, but they also deal with LGBTQ+. And like, if this person has the same core values as I have, then I think we're gonna get along really well. And it's been working really well. So you can search, like, if you want somebody who specializes in religious stuff. I'm not religious, I don't know what to call it, religious stuff. Or trans stuff, or queer stuff. Like, there's literally something for everybody, and you just need to find the person, like you said, that like resonates with you. It's a collaboration.
Yeah, and I know that also in terms of looking for someone, finances is an issue. Like, I went to somewhere that had a sliding scale at first, and like it was very affordable. So definitely look into those options around you, because there are plenty of places that have kind of that setup, and it's just based off what you make. And then they're like, okay, well, can you pay $25? Okay, great, then you pay $25. So don't let finances get in the way either.
Also, if, like, as I said, I'm going to school full-time too, and they have counselors there at school. Like, every school that I've been to, they have free counselors that you can go in and talk to and just make an appointment with.
I wanted to bring up the intersection of race and counseling, especially for the brown folks in the room. I'm going to be that person. Because, well, growing up, I heard that therapy and things like that meant, A, you were broken, and B, that's for white folks. So the brown people in the room, I'm giving you all auntie look right about now.
This is Auntie Light, by the way. Her full-blown Auntie look will reduce you to a pile of ashes.
That's because I've got like a plus 20 on my charisma. I really don't. But there is no shame in needing therapy. There is no shame in reaching out. And if you got friends who are like, oh, that's not something we do as black and brown folks, go find better friends. Go take care of yourself, because I did not go to therapy for a long time until it was like, oh, I should see somebody because this is not okay. And again, have no shame in looking out for someone who is also a person of color, because I have had that conversation with someone who's a therapist but not a person of color. That was real uncomfortable in a very short therapist-patient relationship. So there is no shame in going, I need someone who's a person of color. In my case, someone who's also queer-friendly. They exist. They're not unicorns, I know. But there's actually, I'm not sure the exact Twitter handle, but there is a black women, black girl therapist network of people who are like, hey, I'm here. I think it's Crunk PhD. I may not have the right.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like, I think that's their Twitter handle. If you look on Twitter, there is a black woman who specializes in therapy and resources for other black women. Because we, a lot of times, don't do therapy because people talk you out of it. And they're like, oh, that's not for us. So that is my PSA of, if you're brown, go to the damn therapist.
Oh, this is why I love all these people. So what do you all, as you've grown as streamers, and as you're growing as streamers, the interactions that you have with your community, with your moderators, I mean, it's a job. You've all made that really clear. You treat it as a job. You're the manager, which means sometimes you have to have tough conversations with your moderators, with maybe community members. What tips do you have for people for how to successfully do that without taking it too personally?
I like how none of us. Well, I'll go, and then I will stop talking so much on the panel. I'm sorry. I just have boundaries, because I have had those unfortunate moments where a community member has kind of stepped over the line. They want to know too much information. They want your home address when you're not at that point of knowing them. And I give the moderators like full permission to do what they need to do, especially if I'm talking or playing a game and it requires my full attention for a little bit. It's like, you are an extension of what I would do. And I made sure the people that are my moderators follow the same way that I want to moderate the channel and manage the community, because it's not just the on time on the stream, it's also in our Discord, it's also in other interactions. And because I go to panels and go to conventions, there's the in-person facet as well. So making sure we have that, if you meet me, please ask for a hug first. Please say hi. Don't just tell me, I follow you on Twitter, and then stop. And that's in general. If you meet someone else, don't go, I love what you say on Twitter, and I follow you, but then don't tell me who you are. That's not useful. So things like that, managing, it's seriously, it's like, cool, but I want to know who you are. I'm very glad you came up and said hi, so follow that up. But I'm very clear with boundaries of, I have a P.O. box. If you'd like to send me stuff, which I'm very grateful for, this is the way you can do it. These are the ways you can interact. My DMs are not open on Twitter. My whispers are not open on Twitch. So I've firmly set those boundaries, like I'm not going to add you on Facebook. I'm not going to, until we get to know each other, and if we get to that point as friends, cool. But you are part of the community, and I thank you for that, but there still is a line because my personal life is not there for consumption.
Not like eating breakfast while spiking the camera, just staring for an hour.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I just don't feel like, that's interesting for me to share my breakfast. And I am not a nice person before my first cup of coffee. No one needs to be exposed to that.
Although that is an option now, though, isn't there, the social eating thing?
Yes, and I will never, not in anyone's life will I ever stream under that category. So, that's me.
Well, Dr. Morales, what would you say? I mean, what do you, because you work with a lot of geeks and gamers, what tips do you give? She laughs about this every time I bring this up. She has a great blog about this. What tips do you give to people about, how to be appropriately forthright with your boundaries?
I mean, I encourage a lot of self-care, and that can mean anything for a lot of people. And for some people, that does mean setting boundaries and being firm and being genuine about what you're comfortable with. And sometimes people can feel like, oh, maybe that was too mean. Like if I'm telling somebody, I don't really feel like having a conversation today. But it's not. I think people who care about you will understand. I'm anxious right now as we're up here talking. I've never done this before, so kind of, I don't know anything about moderating, but it sounds like it's more, having that open communication with the person that you're working with. It's like they're your coworker because you are creating this, like it's your company, and you are the company, you're the resource. So having those, communicating with your audience and with the people that are helping you put this together, and not being shy about it, which sounds like, it's hard for people who are introverts or for people who, are anxious or just generally timid. Like I'm one of those people, and it's not easy.
Then how do you do it? I mean, so how do you, because a lot of the things that I know I hear from people, and I assume you do as well, how do I say what I want without being aggressive? And like, what's the there is a difference, by the way, between assertive and aggressive. Like, what would you say to someone? What's the difference, and how do you do it?
That's a good question.
Right? That's why I asked it.
Excellent question. I think first of all, to actually do it, like if it really matters to you, and if it's as meaningful to you as to be a little bit uncomfortable doing it, then do it. Because we're going to regret the things that we didn't do, that we didn't try out.
So sometimes being uncomfortable is okay.
Yes, absolutely. It's okay to be uncomfortable. If what you're doing, if you have to be a little bit uncomfortable to get to where you want to be, and if that is meaningful to you, if that's going to bring something to your life, or if that is in alignment with whatever you value as a person. And that can be a balancing act sometimes. All the time.
Basically, give yourself, if it's a goal, if it's an important enough goal to you, give yourself permission to be a little uncomfortable in pursuing it.
Yes, and ask for help if you need it too, because if it makes you, for example, being here with me, I needed my partner to be with me. I needed that social interaction, but that person that I can talk to and who I can rely on if I get anxious, if I'm going to have a mini panic attack on my way here. I need to talk to somebody, and that's the one person, that channel of communication. Have my person right there. And for different people, that can be different things too. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be, an object, a bracelet, a necklace, anything. It can be anything.
So, okay, we've had a lot of good information said so far. And thinking about all of it, one, treat streaming like a job. Okay, you can't work all the time. You will burn out if you do. Two, growth is sometimes uncomfortable. But corollary to that, know what your boundaries are, know what your limits are, and it's perfectly okay to ask for help in whatever way you need it, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's your moderators, but you need to be open and communicative with those boundaries and those needs. Did I miss anything?
Sounds good to me.
It's like I do this.
Quick, write a list.
Summary.
Read it out.
So I want to bring up one term that is probably going to evoke an interesting response from several of you. Self-doubt.
It exists.
It happens all the time. I
Yeah.
love that word.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's like that and imposter syndrome are just right there.
Well, so doubt is a healthy thing when it's kept in check.
Mm-hmm.
Doubt tells us to not do stupid things. It's the reason I didn't get into some trouble last night.
Dr. B.
Really?
What? You know who my friends are. They're a bad influence.
It's true, they are, but
But how do you know when your doubt gets too much?
When I just want to like sleep and I don't care about anything. Because there are times I'm like, getting out of bed's hard. So whenever you see those like long Twitter threads where I'm like rambling, that's, I should be productive. I should really clean or cook or do things. And I'm like, but I'm here yelling about things on Twitter that people probably don't actually care about. And then that doesn't, no, I'm serious. And then I have okay, I've yelled about this on Twitter. It's not a new thought. Someone's probably going, why is she talking about this again? Who does she think she is? And then it sometimes can actually make the spiral worse. So I just have the self-doubt is compiled. It's like, I'm just rambling on Twitter. And then I'll get people like retweet it and act, I shouldn't say act. They're like, oh my God, I never knew that. And I'm like, oh, I actually had something useful for one person. Cool.
So for you, one of the signals that your self-doubt is getting too much is when you just don't have the motivation to do daily activities, not getting out of bed. When you just have zero motivation, that's your biggest signal.
Yeah, because like there's so much I need to do, or just even I could ramble about this more eloquently at my desk, but that requires the effort to get out of bed. Or like I love coffee. If I can't make a cup of coffee, then there's no motivation. Things are bad.
Well, and let's talk about a downward spiral. I have no motivation to make coffee. Coffee gives me the motivation.
It's a catch-22.
Oh, yeah.
I'm never getting off that
It's just an
hamster wheel.
Ouroboros. You're eating your own
Yep.
tail on this one.
Yep.
Yeah. But what about the rest of you? How do you know when your self-doubt isn't just telling you, that's not a great idea, but it goes too far?
for me, it's when I have something, there's an event that I have planned for like next August. And last night I was like, well, I shouldn't do that. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. It's not going to work. Girl, it's a fucking year away. It's going to be fine. But like, there are days where I'm just like, well, I'm tired now, so I can't go and see friends on Sunday. I'll cancel all my plans. That's the easiest way to do this. And then I actually think about it for a second, and I'm like, all right, I'm having a moment. I am in that self-doubt, like, downward spiral. Let's think about this tomorrow when I've slept for like 8 hours, and then let's go at this again, because I thought about that event last night in August, and I woke up today, I'm like, no, that's a great idea. I can start planning that. This is gonna be fine. It's literally 10 months from now. But as long as you can like recognize when it starts, and even if you let yourself do it, like I knew it was irrational, but I still let myself get into self-doubt for a bit and wallow and think about it and feel bad about it. I knew it was happening, and I was cognizant it was happening, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna let this simmer, and then I'm gonna come back to it when I've eaten, when I've had some sleep, when I've drank some water, and when I've taken my medication. And if I still feel that way after those 4 things, maybe add a shower in there. If I still feel that way after all of those self-care, maybe something's wrong. But if it feels good after those things, it's probably fine.
So for you, it's how fleeting is this doubt?
Oh, yeah.
If it lasts past the things you need to do, maybe pay attention to it.
Yeah, give yourself like a day, maybe a week. It's different for everybody. For me, it's like 3 days, couple days. If it still feels bad after that time, there's probably a reason it feels bad, and then you can assess it from there. But if it's like, if you look at yourself and think of why you're in that circle of self-doubt, there's probably a reason for it. It's either a bad thing or you're not taking care of yourself.
I think Kylie, Miss Kylie, you were about to jump in and say something.
I feel like or I guess a good chunk of my self-doubt, it comes from always like comparing myself to others. And Theodore Roosevelt once said, comparison is the thief of joy. And it really is. You work so hard to do be the best person you can be, get on stream, do all this work. And then you just happen to see maybe somebody else has a better idea or something. And then you just kind of lose yourself, I feel, when you compare yourself to others. And I feel like that's where a lot of self-doubt, at least for some of the self-doubt that I feel it comes from. Just being like, oh man, I'm not as good as this person, or I don't have that many followers as this person. And something that I took away from this self-doubt is one, stop looking at Twitter when you're feeling like that, or stop scanning Twitch when you're feeling like that. Go take a break, as you said, sleep, eat. Try to break yourself out of that. Go for a nice walk or something like that, just to come back to the moment, because it should be you just focus on yourself. You need to care about yourself, and then this doubt that you're feeling isn't something that you should keep inside. It should be something maybe that hey, I'm not feeling well, that's probably why, or maybe I need to go and I need to talk to someone about it. I feel if I ever am having self-doubt, I go to my best friends or my mom, and I'm just I don't know, I had an event that I did recently, and we planned so hard for it, and I was I don't think anybody's gonna show up. And I was just talking to my mom about it, and she goes, wow, you created a presentation for this event? And she's like, I don't know who wouldn't find this fun. And she was just uplifting and motivating, and that was something that was really helpful. Also, something that I wanted to also say is when, you're experiencing self-doubt, obviously I feel like a lot of people are a little bit lower, maybe even depressed about it. Something that I did is I wrote myself a letter when I was really happy, and it was just a letter basically full of positive things that I have done, things that I can remember, that I have accomplished, and just traits that I find about myself, that that I'm a very hardworking individual. I love to help people. I love to make other people feel happy, and then maybe just list an example of I had one individual from my community who had been struggling from depression and mental health for a while, and me and a group of my moderators, we constantly were talking to him. We have a Discord where we have a section called the comfort corner, where pretty much anybody can come and just talk about anything that they're frustrated with. And he basically was just really opening up, and then we had shared the AFSP tips and stuff. I used to intern for them, so I was able to.
What's the AFSP?
Oh, sorry, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That's
Great
a
organization.
nonprofit. Yeah, they're great. But I interned for them, so I was a little bit more familiar with the different things that they offered. And I think after about, a month and a half, and he came back, and he just had this amazing message that he sent to me, basically saying how much I changed his life and how helpful that was. And basically what I did is I just printed it out, cut it, and then just put it in the letter. So then if I ever do experience self-doubt, that message is really awesome to be able to read, and it's something that helps motivate me again.
Well, and that's similar to actually something a mutual friend of Tanya's and mine talked about on a different panel, and he called it his brag book.
Brag book?
Yeah, Kate, you were on that panel, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great panel.
Yeah.
But yeah, talked about his brag book, where he would do something very similar. When he was in a good headspace, he would write down actual physical evidence of his accomplishments, and when he was starting to doubt himself, he'd go back and look, because it's a lot harder for your brain to argue if it's actually visibly there in front of you. You're but yeah, no, I still did that thing.
Yeah. I just piggyback off Kylie, because mine self-doubt comes in a lot with comparison as well, especially being an actor outside of streaming. It's that's my job. I'm like constantly like being compared by other people for like, do you deserve to get this? And so it's a really hard thing to struggle with. And my self-doubt, I know I'm doing it because I get like obsessive thoughts that like I just can't like let go of. And so I'll like things that help me are turning to the people I care about, and I'll be like, look, I know this is crazy, but I need you to tell me, because me telling me isn't doing anything right now. Or something I started doing was, I heard it on something I was listening to, and I try not to let myself think about something for longer than 20 seconds if it's negative for me. And so if it starts, I'm like, okay, think of something else. And if I can't think of something else, I literally start counting. And so my brain is like counting instead of thinking of this thing to kind of just like get me on another track. And it's been really helpful. And something my counselor said to me a while ago was, you know, living, like, she's like, this might sound depressing, but like, hear me out. Like, getting through the day can be really hard, like just living. So when you get to the end of the day, congratulate yourself, because you did it. You got through a day, and that's freaking awesome. So like, because I struggle recognizing my accomplishments. So she's like, recognize every little thing you do. Like, you got through the day. Like, you are amazing. So it's just exercising that muscle. It's all a muscle. Like recognizing your accomplishments is a muscle. Like knowing that you did well on something is a muscle. So just start with something little that doesn't seem too intimidating, like, I showered today, I'm awesome. And then maybe tomorrow you can be like, you know, move on to something like that yesterday would have been harder to congratulate yourself for. And then another thing I do is cook, because if you make a good meal, you can't tell yourself you didn't, because you eat it and it's good.
You can literally make comfort food.
Exactly. It's like, I didn't mess this up because I'm eating it and it's delicious and I can't tell myself it's not.
Yeah, but I got the paprika wrong.
No, you didn't. No. Paprika's great.
Well, that, you know, I joke about that a little bit, but you know, Dr. Morales, you and I probably hear a lot of the same things with people minimizing, people using the yeah buts. Mm-hmm. How do you coach people on how to deal with that when they are constantly minimizing?
I think we all do at some level, but then it starts interfering with the things that we're trying to get accomplished, which could be just getting out of bed in the morning, or making ourselves a cup of coffee, or going to work. And when it starts interfering with that, I think that they bring really great points in like recognizing those victories. As small as you think they are, they add up. It's easier to focus, for most people, it's easier to notice the negative because we are constantly criticizing ourselves. We're our own worst critics, and that's what I usually tell everybody that I work with, and my friends, and myself. You know, remember, you're your own worst critic. Of course, you're gonna recognize these little things that maybe nobody else does, that I think I did wrong, and no one else is, you know, thinking along the same lines, because we criticize ourselves and we judge ourselves often. But we also have to, it's like you said, it's a muscle, it's a learned skill. And the more you practice it, the better you can get at it. And recognizing the things that you are doing that bring you joy, or that you feel like you did right. You know, I found 2 matching pairs of socks. I don't know, something, anything.
Wait, two whole matching
like
pairs?
I found a matching, yeah.
That is an accomplishment, especially if you wear weird socks.
Yeah, right. But as little as those things are, or as small as you might think they are, they do add up. And at the end of the day, that can mean the difference between, you know, really putting yourself down or thinking I did a really good job today.
So there's one word I've been thinking about with all the tips that you've all been giving, and that's compassion. Okay. Giving yourself compassion, and giving yourself the ability to make a mistake without you being a failure. There's a big difference in a lot of what you're talking about, in that making a mistake is situational, whereas being a failure is something inescapable. It's a label, and that becomes a part of your identity. And it seems like you're all kind of talking around this idea: be okay making mistakes, because it will happen.
Absolutely, we all make mistakes. It's human. We're all human beings. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do it all the time. It's normal.
Because one thing I still struggle with is self-compassion. I mean, seriously. So, and I'm not trying to humble brag, and I know it's going to come out that way, but I'm in a museum. I'm actually in a museum exhibit, and I'm telling people about
Right
this.
now. She's in a museum right now.
Well, I mean, you are a work of art. I just love doing this to him. But I'm in a museum when I could finally tell people about it, because it was a long time in process. And I was like, oh, well, I'm in this thing, and they're just looking at me like, I'm sorry, what? Are you just downplaying this? And I'm like, well, it's in London. Most of you don't live there. You can't go see it. And they're just still giving me, they gave me the auntie look for once. I have friends that are moms, and I'm like, oh, that's what that feels like. I'm just gonna, but it was hard because because I was raised with that, talking about yourself as bragging. And, there's things that I've done and things that I've accomplished where it's like, I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, the imposter syndrome, the self-doubt, and I'm like, I got lucky or whatever. When I will yell at someone else if they say they got lucky, don't give me that look. That doesn't work on me. He's trying his best auntie look. It's so adorable. But things like that where I'm still learning self-compassion, but I'll be the first person to fuss at someone if they don't talk about themselves and brag about what they've done. So that's a lesson I'm having to still learn. I don't know about anyone else on the panel.
Oh, yes.
Actually, it happened to me yesterday. It was kind of a yeah but situation as well. I was on the show floor and I ran into Meg Cayley. If anybody knows Meg Cayley, great streamer.
Meg's
Yeah, and
lovely.
I see her occasionally, and she came up and she was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations on being in the Jackbox game," because I did a voice. I'm doing it to myself right now. I'm like, it's just a little thing. I did some voice work for the new Jackbox Party Pack, and that's one of the first video games I ever played, when I was 6 or something. So it's really cool for me. And I was like, yeah, well, but you're on GameStop TV. And she was like, but you just did 2 giant feature pieces with IGN. I'm like, but you've raised so much money for charity. And so we went back and forth for 5 minutes, fighting with each other's accomplishments. And then we both kind of stopped and went, oh God, we're both really good.
Nice.
And we both started tearing up on the show floor, in Artist's Alley. And we're like, I'm just so proud of you, and I'm so proud of me. And we've come so far, and you're an inspiration. No, but you're an inspiration. And it was the first time that I was like, okay, I'm allowed to boost people's accomplishments because I'm so proud of them, but it's totally cool for me to boost my accomplishments too. And a lot of the time when we were kind of talking about social media, I'm not the most fit or slender person, and I know that. But I figured one day I was like, I'm going to follow all these fitness Instagram accounts, and it's going to make me motivated to be, so fit, and I'm going to go to the gym every day. That has not happened. But I realized that when I was feeling bad about myself, I would look at these accounts and feel worse about myself. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? So I unfollowed all of those motivational accounts to give myself space to just be me for a while. And then kind of how you were saying, thief of joy,
The comparison is
that
the
one.
thief of joy.
That really good
The
quote
really
that I
great
was
Teddy
super impressed
Roosevelt
with.
quote.
But it's in the same vein. It's you stop comparing yourself to everyone else's highlight reel, because people aren't sharing pictures of themselves after I went to this all-you-can-eat meat restaurant last night. It was amazing, but I had to unbutton my jeans because I was so bloated. But I'm not sharing pictures of that on Instagram. People are showing pictures of themselves all tan and on beaches, and they haven't eaten in 4 days or something like that. But you have to stop comparing yourself to people whose job it is to be perfect, because we're just normal people, and you're all just normal people. You have to let yourself realize that and identify with that and be cool with that. I'm sorry. Somebody in the next room really had opinions about that. But so yeah, showing yourself compassion and realizing that is really tough, but it's so good when it starts to happen, because then you can go to all-you-can-eat meat restaurants. Oh man.
So one thing that is always astonishing to me, and we all do this. It's who remembers going to relatives' houses when you were a kid and they were like, oh my God, you've gotten so tall.
No.
Yeah, who hated that? Yeah, okay. Well, why do they notice how tall you've gotten? Because they saw you when you went from here to here. You, living your daily life, don't see the millimeter by millimeter improvement. It's just normal to you.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is what you've all experienced, that, you know, your life is just, oh, what are you talking about? It's your life. I'm in a museum. What are you talking about? That's just me. I hear that from people all the time. What are you talking about? That's just me. How do you fight that and recognize, yeah, that might be just you, and you're pretty awesome?
Well, like, going back to the Jackbox thing, the behind the scenes of that was not a glamorous situation. I was wearing sweatpants that had like a hole in the crotch. I think I spilled spaghetti sauce on my shirt right before I recorded it. Yeah, but I was just like, I was in my apartment filming or recording on my like nice audio setup. But in the grand scheme of things, anyone looking at that, it was not a super glamorous, cool, you're in the industry moment. It was like, I have the equipment to make this sound nice. But to anybody else, I could have sounded so cool if I didn't tell you all that. Damn it. Okay, so looking in, it's like, cool, she's in a video game. That's a really neat thing. But because I'm on my side of it, I'm like, I was like really nervous, and I was sweaty, and I was covered in food. It was just like my normal state. But you have to realize that that's fine being that, but also people aren't seeing that from you either. So because you see the unglamorous negative side, or you know when you're having a bad day, people aren't seeing that. You can share it with them if you want, like I've done with all of you and all of you at home, but it doesn't change the fact that your accomplishments are still really, really cool no matter how you got there.
Even if you're covered in spaghetti stains.
It was really, really good spaghetti.
I hope so. If you're bragging about it now, I really hope it was.
Humble brag, my spaghetti was delicious. I cooked it myself. Yeah.
Well done.
And I got the paprika just right.
Wait, whoa, no.
Don't humble brag it. Just brag that one.
No.
Just brag that one.
You and I are having words that you put paprika in marinara.
Who said it was marinara?
Oh, good call. You were talking about the noodle.
Oh.
I'm a jerk.
Look at you trying to start fights over spices.
You've never had my cooking.
You've never had me over.
We'll talk. So, oh, I love these people. So let's, I know every single one of these folks here are really communicative online, which is part of the reason we're going to be skipping Q&A. If you follow them on Twitter, and I hope you do, take a picture, follow everybody, follow their Twitch channels. They give out great resources. But as we wrap this up, I want to point you all at some other resources for you. The first of which, takethis.org, has an ever-growing list of mental health resources. We have crisis intervention lines on there. We have, I think at this point, 14 therapist directories. So we have a wonderful guide on how to find the type of therapist that works for you. We have more resources that are ever evolving. I'm hoping to finish our online ambassador, basically our streaming and mod training this week. I'm working on it at our hotel right now. But we've got just a lot of great resources on that. We also have a new partnership with the crisis text line. If talking to somebody is not your jam, and that's true for a lot of folks, you can just text AFK to 741-741, and that will put you in touch with a crisis counselor. My rule on talking to a crisis counselor, if you are debating whether you should talk to a crisis counselor, you should talk to a crisis counselor. Well, should I or should not? Yes, if it's even a debate. And you can just text 741-741, text AFK. They will get to you. Additionally, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is an amazing resource. They deal with everything, not just suicide. And if talking to someone is your jam, then they're a great, great resource to talk to. But again, if you're debating, call. So.
Sorry, one thing. I'm in Twitch chat right now. They're wondering where they can find, if they're watching from home, where they'd be able to find all the information for the panelists, if like Take This could put it somewhere.
I think we could make that happen.
That would be great.
For all
Yeah.
of our panelists. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we could make that happen. Tag you in some tweets or something. I know the socials. I'm hip. But I know that everybody would love to hear from you, so if you would care to share your feedback after this session, that would be fantastic. I think some of us are going to be hanging out answering some questions. But thank you all for being here. Please give a round of applause to all our panelists. They did a great job. Oh, what's that? The shield. Oh, the shield. I think I want to give this to Dr. Morales.
Oh, nice.
And here's why. Because, I hope I don't embarrass you too much, that when I contacted her to be the mental health expert on this, she was like, I'm sorry, you want me to speak where? I'm sorry, with who? And she was so willing to do
As
it.
if you were sure. I'm like, are you sure?
Are you sure you want me to be on this? I'm like, yeah, I asked you, didn't I?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And so
Very
once
happy to
again,
be
give
here.
everybody a round of applause. They're amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. I want a photo.
Oh, yeah.
Photo of them or of us.